Joe Biden needs to do three main things to win this November.
I'm a proud Democrat.
He needs to court Latino voters. He needs a really strong debate performance, and he needs to boost voter turnout on Election Day. Joe Biden turned 78 shortly after Election Day.
Oh, Sleepy Joe.
Meaning if he won, he would be the oldest person ever to assume the presidency.
This is my little sister, Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh, no, you switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister.
Donald Trump and his campaign have relentlessly questioned Mr. Biden's mental acuity in a bid to suggest that he is simply too old to govern.
Could you imagine if I said just a small fraction of the mistakes he makes, which are unbelievable, every speech?
Mr. Trump believes he has an opportunity to exploit Mr. Biden's weaknesses during the televised debates, just as he did to great effect against Hillary Clinton in 2016.
November 3rd of this year, do you know what November 3rd represents?
Many undecided voters will tune in to these primetime debates, so a strong debate performance is really crucial for Mr. Biden.
This is a serious moment for our nation.
He can use that opportunity to hammer Trump on his handling of the coronavirus, an issue where Mr. Biden polls well.
Do your job, Mr. President, because if we can't deal with the public health crisis, we can't deal with the economic crisis.
And to convince voters that he has a strong plan for the economy, an area where the president tends to do better among voters.
We have tremendous stimulus plans. We have things in the works that are going to really, I think, fire the country.
In short, the coronavirus pandemic means that the debates will have an outsized role in deciding this election. The Hispanic population in the US is rapidly growing, and a record 32 million Hispanic Americans will be eligible to vote in the US election this year. Apart from being a rapidly growing demographic within the US, Latinos in some states, such as Arizona and Florida, could very well determine the outcome of the presidential election. Democrats typically enjoy more support among Hispanic voters than Republicans. But in Florida, which is the biggest swing state in the country, party officials are sounding the alarm. Recent polls out of Florida show Mr. Biden's support among Latinos is much lower than Hillary Clinton's in 2016, fueling concerns that he could really lose a pivotal state. If you believe the polls, Joe Biden might be confident of victory on November 3rd.
This is a battle we will win, and we'll do it together.
The Democrat has the commanding lead over Mr. Trump in nationwide polls, as well as most of the crucial swing states which will prove pivotal in the result. But if 2016 taught us anything, it's that we should treat polls with some skepticism. In any case, the polling does show Mr. Biden's lead narrowing in some of the battleground states. So Mr. Biden needs to convince Democrats, particularly young Democrats, to really show up.
Step up. Do the right thing.
But Mr. Biden doesn't just need a victory, he needs a decisive victory. That's because many of Mr. Trump's opponents believe that if the result appears to be close, the president may try to contest the outcome.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that.
The president has already cast doubts over postal voting, claiming that it makes it easier for fraudulent ballots to creep into the system.
Send it in early and then go and vote. And if it's not tabulated, you vote, and the vote is going to count.
Opponents say Mr. Trump's criticism of mail-in voting could be his way of laying the groundwork for a legal challenge should he lose narrowly in November.
These people are playing dirty politics.
Mr. Trump has not decisively said whether he will accept defeat. This may sound extreme, but voter suppression is something the Democrats have expressed real concern about. It was a key theme of the party convention last month, with Michelle Obama using her address to warn voters.
They're closing down polling places in minority neighborhoods. They're sending people out to intimidate voters, and they're lying about the security of our ballots.
Barack Obama also used his speech to claim that Trump and his aides are hoping to make it as hard as possible for you to vote. So a decisive turnout for Mr. Biden would help assuage any potential concerns around the result.
We have to vote for Joe Biden in numbers that cannot be ignored.